Good evening, and you're welcome to another exclusive interview powered by News.Band Television. Now, today we are going to be discussing the security situation in the Southeast, particularly in Anambra State, and its effect on the November 2021 elections. Here as our guest, we have Honorable Chuma Nzeribe. He is the Deputy Director General, Andy Uba campaign team. Senator Andy Uba's campaign team. He was also the Anambra State 2021 and PDP gubernatorial aspirant. He is also a former member of the House of Representatives representing Ihiala Federal Constituency. Thank you so much, sir, for coming.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, now let me just ask you this. How do you feel about the security situation in the Southeast?
Well, we have a tense situation. People feel less secured. Security situation is not measured by mere deployments, but how people feel. Most people feel insecure. People are beginning to go to bed very early, as early as 6 o'clock. Nobody ventures outside for view of the unknown. Before now, only chicken and fowl and goats that go in by 6. But these days, people go in that early because they feel less secure outside once it's dark. So the situation is worrisome. I'm worried. I believe a lot of other major stakeholders are worried too. Yes.
Now, will you describe this situation as?
So what? I didn't get you.
I think she's having network challenges. The second question I will fail to ask will be the security situation is dire. Why has it continued to be so? And why is the government, the authorities doing about it?
Well, the number one challenge, number one cause of insecurity is the attitude of the 5 southeastern governors over the past 5 to 10 years. There have been less investments in building up a sound security network over the last 10 years. It's not enough for a governor to collect security votes. He ought to account what he uses the security votes to do, especially when you see that a large chunk of available resources in the states are being committed to security. So over the last 5 to 10 years, there have been less and less investment in security, while the security votes taken by the governors have gone up. So this is number one challenge we have for number one cause of insecurity in the Southeast. The other one is the recent agitations. The recent agitations have seemed to exaggerate the security situation in the sense that the challenges of managing crime situations over the last few years has expanded, and the resources to manage them are not there, are not made available. Number 3 cause of insecurity is lack of intelligence gathering capacity. Even states that say they have vigilante service, which is more of community policing idea, do not make appropriate investments on intelligence gathering. Most of the intelligence being collected are raw. raw and outdated. So we've not made enough investments to put a structure to intelligence gathering available to the state. If you can see at the national level, the intelligence sources available to the president are many. He gets from intelligence estimates being prepared by the Inspector General of Police every week. He gets intelligence estimates from the Directorate of State Services. He gets from the military intelligence. He gets from the naval intelligence and all these other security agencies. He gets from the Controller General of Customs, who gives him the security situations across the border throughout the Federation. So there are various forms of intelligence gathering sources available to the president. But at the state level, the source of intelligence is only the SSS. It is only the DSS that offer scanty weekly intelligence estimates to the respective governors. So the tools to perform this function, even though they are called chief security officers of the state, the tools are not available to the governors to have a good hand on the security situation in their respective states. The other, is it fourth or fifth source of the insecurity in the South is lack of communal involvement. The criminal is not a spirit. The criminal live among us, among the communities. There ought to be a source. There ought to be a means to extract intelligence of these criminals living among the civil populace. We used to do it while we were there, but I noticed that there's total absence of it for a sustained long period of time. So we'll continue to face these challenges until these rudimentary aspects of fighting crime is properly taken care of. Yes.
Okay, so will you describe these security challenges as terrorism or just mere agitations?
Well, irrespective of what we call it, if you check the nomenclature of the problem across the regions, you will see it varies from region to region. In the Northeast, you have people who openly challenge our borders. The Boko Haram challenges our borders on daily basis. They want to build an Islamic state within Nigeria. That is totally unacceptable. You also have issue of banditry. The banditry we have, especially in the Northwest, also challenges the territorial integrity of Nigeria because most of them are coming from outside. Most of them are being funded by precious stone merchants. A lot of them are Chinese and Lebanese and Indians living among us. They fund a lot of the banditry that go on because they want to take territories so they can exploit those territories. In the Southeast, the challenge offered by, in these places, they take hostages. They take hostages, which is very, very worrisome that they take hostages. Then in the Southeast, the security challenge is principally by IPOB. IPOB is asking for a state of their own. I'm not sure that is the intendment of the people of Southeast, but they've been able to co-opt a lot of young children into those agitation. And it's also a source of worry. There are also other crime like kidnapping. Kidnapping has been there among some of these criminals. Kidnapping has been there for some time. It didn't just start with IPOB agitation. We were able to deal with a lot of those issues in the past when I was security advisor in Anambra State. In fact, some of them were cross-border crime syndicates, which we had to deal with then. So you see, the nature of challenges in security comes from different angles. In the South, that mainly the agitation there has to do with resource control issues. People want to be in charge of their resources. And some people have extended that agitation into breaking of pipelines, like MENT used to do, and taking oil and selling to illegal oil merchants who bring in their vessels, breaching our territorial integrity at the sea. They bring in their vessels to take crude and petroleum products. So the challenges, as I said, vary from region to region. But one thing these challenges are, especially in the Southeast, is that it's taking a totally new dimension in the Southeast. And that gets all of us worried, not just those who have had something or still currently dealing with security matters, but the entire populace are engulfed in a crisis of confidence, seeing the inability of the states to properly protect lives and property. And you keep wondering, why do we have governors? Why do we have governors who cannot exercise the functions they took an oath to, which is to protect lives and property? Even though they don't have the army and police directly under them, every good governor finds a way to protect his people. So these are issues we have to look at as we go along in this discourse. Thanks.
All right, remember that you can join this conversation simply by raising up your digital hand, and I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Now, in your earlier submission, you mentioned something about the state government. Now, how responsible is the state government for not protecting the lives and property of the state, considering the fact that law enforcement falls under the exclusive list of the federal government?
Yes, ma'am. I must quickly remind you that.
Did you hear me?
Sorry? I heard you very well, loud and clear.
Did you get my question?
Yes,
okay.
yes, you did.
I do.
Right.
I must quickly remind you that for 3 years, I was advisor on security, and there was no single incident of crime in Anambra State. We had even less resources there. I don't say anybody should go back to those old ways, but people should be ingenious. People should be innovative in finding solutions to the security challenges in the state. And as I said earlier, I blame the state governments, the state governors. One, they've not made adequate investment in security, despite the large pool of funds available to them on a monthly basis as security votes. Two, they have not been innovative enough to find the optimal ways of providing security. Let me give you one of those challenges. When we had high incidence of crime in Anambra State, I took permission of the governor. I summoned all the traditional rulers from the impacted areas with high crime rates. I summoned them to government house for a discussion. And the governor told them in plain language, if we get any other criminal from your place, we will dethrone you. That threat alone brought down the crime rates in those areas by over 50% under 1 week. Apart from the additional security deployments we have to do in those flash areas, flash local governments. Okay, there was a time specifically in Anambra State where you cannot travel from the toll gate at Onitsha to Oka. Between toll gate and Oka and Enugu Agede. If you travel there after 7 o'clock, you were on your own. But we got all the traditional rulers and town union presidents from that area into a conference and warned them. And quickly the crime rate dropped. And our security deployment in those areas finished up the jobs. So the governors should be innovative. They should find ways to attract their communities to buy into their measures. They buy into their measures of combating crime. They could profit from that. They could profit from that. They could resolve most of the challenges we are having currently in the states. So this, to me, is where I fall to the governors. One, by not making appropriate investment in security and intelligence gathering over the last 5 to 10 years. Two, for not being innovative in managing the challenges of security in their respective states. Despite, or rather in spite of the large pool of funds available to them. My understanding is that some governors take 1 billion, 1.5 billion every month. When the state receives maybe 5 or 6 billion, just the governor carries away or cuts away 1.5 billion as security votes. And in that state, you still have trouble. I don't think it's good. It's not a good reference point. Even the agitation of IPOB in the Southeast could be contained by the government. To drag them to a conference table, talk to them. Nobody said you should not talk to them. You are a governor, you have immunity. Nobody's going to arrest you for going to talk to your citizens. So the governors are not doing enough. It's not just the problem of the federal government to provide security in the states. Which we should, but often than not, the governor's complaint is that we don't control the CP, we don't control the Directorate of State Services. That is a wrong premise to base your influence, to base the executing the job which you took an oath. Is a wrong premise. Not being in charge of CP and the DSS is not enough. Yes, ma'am.
All right, remember that you can join this conversation simply by raising up your digital hand, and I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Now, the Anambra State government have come out to say that people perpetrating these crimes are not indigenous of Anambra. Assuming this is true, how then can we strengthen our security at the border?
If the governors say the people committing the crimes are not from Southeast, which means it is not IPOB, nobody should blame the IPOB. That is number one. And if you say that these people are not from the region, it all means you know who they are. You should be man enough to tell us who they are so we can deal with this issue appropriately. It is not enough to open your mouth when you claim you do not have the security, control of the security apparatus. So how did you find out this? Any governor who says that should be taken up on that. He certainly knows those perpetrating these crimes, and he should be held accountable too. Yes.
But assuming this is true, how can we strengthen our border, our security at the border between Anambra and other states?
Anambra State is not the headquarters of IPOB. We don't need to strengthen anything. There is no curfew in Nigeria. People intermingle, people cross borders on daily basis. We intermarry, we do everything. So strengthening security at the border in a state does not arise. The problem or the challenge should be, how do you detect crime in your state? Are we making enough investment in intelligence gathering? Are we making enough in crime control? Are we having a good discussion among the communities about crime, the criminal, and criminality? You must have sufficient discussion with the communities and get them involved in what you are doing. The issue of strengthening security at the border should not arise. These are state boundaries. You have no right to close them. I can decide to go and see my grandmother who lives in another state by 12 midnight. I should be free to go and come back to my house early in the morning to see my grandmother there and come back. I don't need the permission of the state governor to cross the border. No, I'm a free citizen of Nigeria. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so how do you think the security situation in Anambra State is going to affect the upcoming elections?
Well, I hope it does not affect the upcoming election. There have been a lot of interruptions already, and I urge the governor to open up and have dialogue with stakeholders on security. There should be sufficient dialogue among the governor and the security agencies. There should be substantial discussion with the communities, get the communities involved, talk to everybody involved. Talk to have we must have our election on November 6th. Yes? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we could not hear you for a while. I think the line was breaking up. Can you repeat what you said?
Myself, I said the governors. Hello, are you hearing me? Hello?
No, we didn't get that. Can you repeat it?
I said the governor of Anambra State.
We can hear you now.
Enter into dialogue with the relevant security agencies, with all the community leaders, with all the traditional rulers and town union, and talk to them about this pressing issue for security so that we can have our election. But currently there is no dialogue, there is no discussion, there is no discourse between the government and the people. This security is for everybody. The fact that only you draw security vote in the state does not make you the only stakeholder on security. The political parties, nobody has called them up. Do you have any fresh ideas to give about security? It is not enough for the government to be making wide the allegations, save it on the. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have one question I would like to ask at this point.
Yes, sir.
I'm reading one article written by one Mazi Oderaibu on October 6.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that the security situation calls for the authorities to contact people who know something about security to help. And he specifically mentioned you. He called you the civilian general, and another general, Jerika. So he said that the government should contact the two generals in Igbo land for advice. Has anybody contacted you for advice regarding the security situation in the southeast, sir?
Certainly no. But I think they should look for those versed in internal security matters. The challenge of security or insecurity in the southeast can be cured in a very short time if you employ the appropriate hands to give you an overview and give you possible solutions and give you possible timetable for its implementation. It can be dealt with, but I don't think anybody has contacted. Are you with me?
Yes,
Mr.
Augusta, go ahead.
Your hand is...
No, I don't have any other question. Go ahead.
Mr. Elumba, your hand...
No, I don't have any other question on this security topic. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I thought you were still asking the question because your hand was still up. Still hand, and we'll try as much as possible to comment. Did you say something, Mr. Lumba? Did you say something?
Your network is playing tricks on you. I said, go ahead. Go ahead. We can
I
move to.
apologize about that. So
We can move to other topics. Go ahead.
Okay, Honorable Zaribi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Now, what do you think about the fact that our state government, that's Anambra State governor, have missed out on the Southeastern Governors meeting, not once, not twice? What do you think about this attitude?
Well, it's embarrassing. His disinterest in dialoguing with his colleagues is very embarrassing, and we thank God his tenure is coming to an end so that Anambra State can take its place among the states. And we need to have a hand on these security challenges we are having because it's doing a lot of damage to Southeast economy. I can tell you authoritatively that every Monday, because of the lockdown, the Southeast loses about 500 billion naira in sales. The rest of Nigeria will be busy, and the entire state in Southeast, are on a lockdown, and people cannot reach their families. The entire Southeast on lockdown. You know what that means? We have 25 million Igbos living outside Igbo land. They can't reach home on Mondays. We have the best markets. I know about situation in this market because while I was in charge of security, I was also in charge of the markets at the time. And we generated a lot of revenues to pay teacher salaries from the markets. But right now, you shut down this market. Over a long period of time, people will start finding alternatives to Southeast markets. And that will put in jeopardy the means of livelihood of 6 million Igbo traders. 6 million Igbo traders. Their source of livelihood will be in jeopardy. Alternative markets will spring up here and they won't need Onitsha again. They won't need the nail, they need the blood, they won't need Aba, they won't need the Enugu, they won't need all these places. Most of the problems arising from insecurity in the Southeast. And that shows you the urgent need to deal with it. The Igbos are essentially a caste society. We are a caste society. And it means a lot. It means a lot if we cannot trade. The Igbos are a trading nation. We need to trade. We need to intermingle with the rest of Nigeria. Our brothers who live all over the Federation, all over the West Coast, they all come back home to collect goods. They are multiplying wealth in Igbo land. But when you shut them out of this market, you create existential problem for the entire Southeast. Yes.
Okay, Augusta, are you there? There are other themes apart from the issue of security. Recently, we have seen a gale of defections from one political party to another, and it appears that most of those the campees are moving into APC. Why would you say that is happening, sir?
Well, because there was most of the party primaries were run in a very dysfunctional way. And that led to a lot of disagreements, dissatisfactions, and people opting out of those environments to seek fresh definition elsewhere. So the parties have to strengthen the internal mechanism so that aggrieved people can be heard. But let us take, for example, the PDP primaries, where people paid 26 million to buy the forms. Yes, 26.5 million, because we paid 21.5 million to the national PDP, paid 5 million to the state, and then paid 5.5 million delegates form, bringing to about 32 million to buy form. And when you buy the form, you are giving the PDP constitution. You are also giving the PDP guideline for that primaries. In these two documents, the PDP constitution, it lists those who are eligible to vote. And it comes up with a total of 3,226 delegates. And all of a sudden, on 25th of June, on the eve of the primaries on the 26th, the National Organizing Secretary and the National Chairman sent us a list of 229 people, saying that only these 229 people are eligible to vote. That is a gross violation of PDP constitution. And that's why most people opted out of the primaries. And that is why it is a subject of litigation today at the Appeal Court and Supreme Court. Nobody has a right to violate the constitution of PDP and reduce the delegates from 3,226 to 2,229 because somebody wanted a particular candidate to emerge. So this leads to disaffection. And there is no crisis management mechanism adopted. They never bothered to call on anybody. That's why most people left. Yes, I'll join you.
Well, the state executive of the PDP will say that the reason why they opted for the use of super delegates was because of a pending court, a pending litigation that will call into question the use of the normal.
Sir, you have no right under any circumstance to violate the constitution of your party. And the Supreme Court has said it in many cases that parties must not be at liberty to violate its own constitution.
But sir, you would agree that going ahead with the state congresses will put the party in the state in a
That is not true.
Between the fire and the frying pan, because it's
No,
in a no-win situation.
No, it's not true. If anybody sold that to you, you have been misled. There is a judgment of Federal High Court and another judgment of FCT High Court, coordinates jurisdiction. There were two judgments at play. There was no appeal court judgment. So the party was at liberty to go ahead since the executive, the state executive in place was as ordered by a court judgment, which has not been set aside, which have been upheld even by the Court of Appeal. So they were not at liberty to violate the PDP constitution. That is hogwash. They simply wanted a particular candidate to emerge.
This last statement will lead is the question I want to ask, because can we really say that the using super delegates was aimed to favor a particular candidate when we see the way the result of that primary election? It didn't favor anybody, any particular candidate at all.
Listen, let me tell you, the letter conveying that called the super delegates, there is no word super delegate in PDP constitution or the guideline for election. Therefore, that letter and that 229 names were illegalities. You cannot build on nothing and expect it to stand. It's not based on anything, not on reason, not on any judgment, not on anything whatsoever. They were not at liberty to choose and pick which part of the PDP constitution to obey.
Is there any contestant that is challenging this particular issue in the court? This particular use of super delegates.
The matter is in court. And you will see all these judgments come out before the primaries. That are the other variables about November 6th election, which nobody is talking about. The judgments.
Who instituted this particular litigation challenging this use of super delegates?
There are litigations. I'm not a lawyer, but there are litigations going on. Both in PDP and APOGA, there are litigations in the courts.
Okay, let me come in here again before Augusta you take over, please. If your angst is the way the APC, the PDP conducted their primaries, and now you have now moved into APC, even the primaries in APC, how legitimate is it? Seeing the way their candidate emerged, how legitimate was that?
As I said, all these matters are in court. They're sub judice. All these matters will be dealt with before the November election. And that is a variable factor that nobody is considering in the upcoming election.
Okay, Augusta, have any question? She left. Elder Tango, what's your question, sir?
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, sir.
Chief Chuma, a question I have for you. I'm not an APOGA member, even a politician, but I love my state. I'm an Igbo man. I love Anambra. What is happening is very, very bad, and it's uncalled for. We are losing life, losing property. But you mentioned I was all the time listening, because I witnessed your time with Mbadunuju, but the temple this time is too much. Now you are supporting the same Andoba, you know, and I know. Is it new Andoba or another Andoba? This is my question now. Take note of the question again. Ask another one. APC, the same APC or no APC? These two questions is separate. The third question I will ask you again. I know if Andoba happened to win the election, you will make you chief security officer. What system will you use?
I will not be the chief security officer.
I just
I've done that a long time.
Take it as my word. They may need the advice, or they may need the advice. Or
most people don't know how difficult it is for you to keep awake so that others can sleep, for you to put your life on the line so that some people will be alive. Nobody, you suffer in silence, you serve in silence. You are not supposed to complain. It is one of the most difficult assignments. I don't want to do that, not even as a national security advisor.
and if they seek your advice, you cannot advise them.
I can advise. Yes, I can advise.
Okay. Now, what do you think now will be the solution for this problem?
I've said it in Anambra. The problem is that the government of Anambra State is disengaged from the security situations. He needs to dialogue. There are so many stakeholders. The fact that only the governor cuts away billions in security votes every month does not make him the only stakeholder in security. He should talk to the community leaders. These people involved in crime are not spiritual. They live among us. Talk to communities, talk to town union presidents, talk to the security agencies, talk to the police, bring them in. That's why you have caucuses.
Okay. Anambra State was a very peaceful state, and Obiano won security award that Anambra was peaceful.
Sorry?
Anambra State was a very peaceful state, and Anambra and Obiano won an award for that. Now, what makes you or your love for APC and your love for Andoba now, knowing your history with your Oba?
Listen, are you talking of APC or are you talking about security situation in Anambra State? You must choose one.
What I choose? One. All goes together.
If you're talking of APC, we talk on it as politicians. If you are talking about security of Anambra State, we talk to it in truth before God.
Okay, let's handle the security. Security is more important. Yes. The security issue. Now, Axel, because I was listening, he didn't give Obiano any pass mark about the security issue.
No, because he did not have. You failed to understand what I said. I said between the last 5 to 10 years, there haven't been substantial investment in security architecture. One. Number two, there have not been substantial investment to expand the intelligence gathering arms. And I stated it here that in the federal, Mr. President has about 7 sources of intelligence flowing onto his table every Monday. Security situation
on the daily, not only Monday.
Can you allow me to finish? The intelligence estimates are sent once a month, but the daily intelligence briefing, which the NSA handles, come on daily basis. Okay, so I know what I mean by when I say intelligence estimates. So he has about 7 sources, but in the state, the governor is only hoping that SSS will give him information. That is not good. There ought to be intelligence gathering arms in the state vigilante service. There ought to be community participation in the various local government committees of security, so that those at those lower levels will be able to pony up information that is relevant to security in a state. These are some of the things that produce crisis when it gets to this level up at the state, and especially when there is an upcoming event like election. Me and you know that in election matters, you deal with the good, the bad, and the ugly. So you ought to prepare the security apparatus in the state to face the challenges of the election. INEC, for example, started Anambra election 1 year ago, the preparation, different conferences, different dialogue, you saw it. But nothing was being done in terms of security over the last 1 year, like INEC were doing for a particular event, or over the last 6 months or 3 months, to build up the security cover for the state to be able to withstand the pressures of the election. That's why we are having this fluid state of security in the state. I stand to be corrected, sir. Yes.
Elder Tango, are you satisfied? Okay, let us move on to the next person. Dr. Oizigwe. Doctor, are you there?
I have to. Well, I'm there. Please, there is noise on the background. I don't know where it's coming from. Well, thank you, Honorable Chuma. I'm not from Anambra. I am from Delta State, precisely Ibuso. But I am an Igbo man. I'm a concerned Igbo activist. I'm worried because Anambra is the storehouse of Igbo identity. In commerce, industry, and even in education. And the problem we have in Anambra is that those who present themselves to lead are the non-entities when we are talking, in intellectual matters. One, what counts there is money. Once you have money, or once you are appointed to one political position, you automatically see yourself as a leader. So you could dictate to the people, to the masses, what they will do. On account of that single position you occupy, either as a senator or advisor or whatever. I wasn't surprised the way you're analyzing the situation, because that is actually based on your own background as a politician of Anambra origin. First of all, you got it wrong when you are trying to compare your time as a political advisor on security to Mbadinuju with the current situation. First, there must be a differentiation between civil security and political security. They are two different things. That time, there was problem of civil security. Criminals. Mbadinuju was able to deal with it through his Bakassi, and even in Aba, they had to, because these are civil, the town unions, towns, I've been very close to many towns in Anambra State. The various town unions and traditional rulers were able to handle it from their even dealing with the criminals personally. From Mbadinuju's time through P2B Ngige to even the first tenure of Obiano, every problem concerning civil criminality, civil insecurity was perfect. I could drive from Oka 2 a.m. with my car. 2 a.m. I could leave Oka after meeting with my friend without passing the expressway. I passed the main road, the old road. 2 a.m. to my hometown. In 30 minutes time, I passed River Niger before 30, because the road will be free. Under 30 minutes, I find myself in my town. During the first tenure of Obiano. So in terms of civil security, there was no problem. But what is before us is political security questions, which your analysis have not been able to convince us, because all your analysis have been based on civil security. Obiano did this, Obiano. Political security is even a problem to the president or the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's a problem. They've not been able to handle the banditry with all their forces. They've not been able to handle Boko Haram. They've not been able to even handle the other ones, the other Fulani herdsmen. So these are political. And when you are talking of unknown gunmen and you are talking about Obiano getting money, getting people, what kind of solution are you talking about? The solution of getting the army.
Now listen and listen carefully.
Let me finish, please. Let me finish. Yes, I've listened to you.
Are you able to, Dr. Mwezi, will you round up so that our guests will respond?
So let him cool down until I feel. Let him hide his venom until I feel he cannot pour it. Please.
No venom.
Yes.
No venom.
Yes. First of all, you are talking about solution of the present problem. Security problem in Anambra State, in particular, and Southeast, on technical ground. What kind of a solution are you talking? Getting army, police to kill the youths, and then come out to tell us we have neutralized them. You neutralize life, youths. Is that the way to solve the security problem, which is innate, which is ideologically related? Let me tell you, the present security in Igbo land is like.
All right.
Yes.
Dr. Mwezi will allow our guests to respond at this point.
Now,
please.
let me.
But I've not finished. Do I continue after?
Well, let him respond to what you have said already. For now,
let me
please.
come to the question. To start with, there's no venom. There is nothing like civil security and political security. That's a jargon.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to deal with security matters, you deal with this dispassionately. The state of insecurity in the land is high because, as I've said, we're unprepared. We've not made appropriate investments in security to secure the homeland. It is not security, and you are being sentimental, bringing up the issue, police kill you. I never used any of those words. I say security matter has to involve the security agencies, the communities, and the people. Have consistently said it here. But we had something we are trying to drive at. But this is not the forum. I'm not talking about banditry in the south, in the northwest. No, I'm asked on the security in southeast, and I have to deal with security issues. I've said it earlier. The sources of insecurity are different. It varies from region to region, and I try to segment them. We have not made appropriate investment in security and intelligence gathering on crime in southeast, especially Anambra State. Number two, there is no discourse. There should be a discussion. All the security stakeholders must be involved in assisting government find a solution, because this is government of the people, by the people, for the people. If you think you can deal with security matters in Anambra State without involving the people, you are mistaken. That's why I said they should talk to the traditional rulers through the Anambra Vigilante Service. They ought to have a community input. While I was there, I was taking security report from the local. And I made sure that the SSS had those conversations at the local level, including the officials of the Vigilante Service in the local government. And every week, I take their reports. And by Tuesday, if I notice any area of concern, it is dealt with first thing on Tuesday morning in consultation with the governor. Sometimes we involve the CP, involve the directors. That's why the conversation has to be wide, because the security challenges we have are numerous. I pointed it out that Anambra State is essentially a cash society. criminals are attracted to cash. They're attracted to markets. They're attracted to wealth. We also got the traders involved. We got the traders to buy into the vigilante operations then. And that's why we had almost, we still have 2, 3 weeks under 24, 48, 72 hours. You know the flashpoints, you know the areas of concern, you know how to talk to. Over time, the security officials in Anambra State would have built a timeline of operation of the unknown gunmen. The focus now would have been to capture one unknown gunman and help unmask who he is. We have not captured one, and they're still terrorizing our neighborhoods. The unknown gunman. What is unknown about a gunman operating in your community? He's not a ghost. So the optimal thing to do is to build a scenario, to build a timeline, target this unknown gunmen. People in Anambra State even know where they operate. They do. They'll tell you, avoid this side, avoid this side, avoid this side. I laugh. And yet the security agencies cannot have a hand in it. Can't we have people deliberately attract them? As security advisor, I was involved in using shovel to collect sand at Mpo when that Obosi Road was a major source of headache. I took men of Nigerian police and SSS, 5 of us. We carried a jute bag, carried our shovel, and we were taking sand. Me, I slept there for 3 days until we made a hit. We captured the people. The government has no reason to give for being able to control what is happening now. And when I mean government, I'm not just saying about the state government. The federal security agencies operating in Anambra State are involved. They are grouped together. Then the communities. That's the appropriate thing to do. And you bring all this nonsense under control within a short time. Go and dialogue with the relevant stakeholders on security and find out where the problem is and resolve it quickly so we can have a peaceful elections. You could see even all the political parties have muted their campaigns. The campaigns are muted. Governorship aspirants from Anambra State now go to Lagos and Asaba to campaign because Anambra is not safe to conduct rallies. And the government is giving excuse. You shouldn't give an excuse, please. Let's find a solution. Thank you.
Elombe, can I conclude?
Let me ask a follow-up question based on what Honorable Zeribe have just said. If the locals know where these unknown gunmen are operating.
I don't say unknown gunmen, criminals.
Okay, these criminals are operating because I actually spoke with someone from Anambra State and he mentioned, just as you rightly said, the localities where they are based. And he said that the people in the villages know the directions they come and operate and the directions they go back to. So if the locals know that, what stops the security agencies from identifying those places and flushing them out? Why do you think that this state of affairs have been left to fester without finding a solution, without even arresting one person, just like you said, so that he will disclose where the others are?
As I said, I had all these things in mind when I told you the security agencies should have built up a scenario, a timeline of these operations. I know what I was talking about. I know what I was driving at. If you have built that, that means you would have interviewed those locals. You would have interacted with those locals to find those things out. You build a timeline, you set up an operation around it, and you capture this unknown by hand so that we know who they are.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Our discussion this evening should not be only on security, and our time is almost finished. Let me quickly round up. I know your time is also up, sir, because I know you have busy tonight. We have only 1 hour. But then let me just.
You want me to conclude again, Elomba? You started
no,
again.
Sir. No, sir, because
you have started again. You didn't want me to
Dr.
conclude.
Mwezigwe, you are not our guest tonight. We have had you as guest, then you are free to speak. We have a speak.
People should
No,
contribute.
sir. No, you are only here to ask a question.
Yes.
We have you as guest. When we have you as guest, remember we have had you as guest here. You are free to speak. But when we have a guest, you're only here to ask questions, please. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not to comment. No problem. You can show, you can put me off. You can.
So my next question, Honorable Nzeribe, will be: what are the prospects of? Do you support the Attorney General of the Federation who threatened that the government may declare a state of emergency in Anambra State? Do you think that will solve the problem?
I'm not in support. We do not have state of when you have lawlessness. When we have a state of insecurity, it's not an equivalent of a state of lawlessness. It's when we have a lawlessness, a breakdown of governance totally, that you can call for state of emergency. Anambra State does not qualify for that for now.
All right. Let me also ask you a personal question. You are now the Deputy Director General of Dr. Andy Oba's campaign. I noted that you did not answer the question by Tango the other time, whether is it a new Andy Oba or the old Andy Oba, the old APC or the new APC? How would you say? What do you say to that?
Yes, I feel that that was an unfair question. Everybody should be entitled to make mistakes. We all, in course of growing up, make mistakes. If Andy has any way made mistakes, I'm sure with age and the fusion of time, he might have corrected them. You should give him a chance. You cannot say because this person was this yesterday also that he should not aspire. No, his party has found him worthy to fly the flag, and you could see the movement he's generating into the APC. That shows somebody with substantial capacity to attract friends and everybody onto he's strengthening the party. He's done well, and I'm also very, very sure that he has improved in every aspect of his life, and he should be given a chance to govern Anambra State. Don't forget, he was almost there. It was just misfortune that something that wasn't caused by him denied him from continuing as governor. Yes.
Okay, there's a question here on the chat room. He said, from your vantage position and experience, can you point to any of the candidates that has the best credentials to deal with the security challenges in the Southeast region? I think this is an unfair question because I know what your answer will be. So,
no, I'll give you with reasons why.
All right. Okay. You go ahead.
Andy worked closely with the National Security Council. He worked closely with the National Security Council under Obasanjo. He interacted so much. He also helped to intervene in some security situations in the Southeast, like the Mossop crisis. He helped bring Wazirike to the conference table. And there were also actions we took in the state, which I'm not at liberty to state here, to assist Mossop then, secretly, on the directives of the federal government while Adi was there. So he has a substantial experience. That's one. Number two, at 8 years as a senator of the Federal Republic, he continued to attend to security challenges of the nation. So he understands the security apparatus of the federal government, of the federation, and he will help Anambra State also find solutions, because you see, most of the security forces are controlled by the federal, and Nandi has a lot of connections at the federal. He will also help us to smoothen the passage into a very secured boundaries for Anambra State. So I believe he has what it takes to be the Chief Security Officer and Governor of Anambra State.
Okay, if you allow me, sir, yesterday, let me also ask you the question I asked his Director of Media and Publicity. I asked him, will he agree that Senator Andioba has an image problem? And why has he not made serious efforts to correct that? He explained it, and then why has he not made serious efforts to correct that image problem, if indeed he feels that the perception of him is wrong?
Well, the campaign would have afforded him the opportunity to do that. But you see, none of the candidates have had that opportunity to go around, actually, apart from the ones that went around during the primaries. So that is one. Number two, his media deployment has increased. It's been enhanced. And we are seeing a turnaround in those previously issues with image. As I said, it's a perception, not who he is. It's just a perception. And that can be dealt with. Anambra people understand that too.
All right. I don't know how much time you still have to spend with us.
Yes, please, I'm your servant, sir. Go ahead.
No way. Okay, let's call Dr. Nwankwo Ezigwe. He said he has not finished. Perhaps he has some more questions for you.
Please, sir, I wanted to plead on his behalf too, sir. Just ask me questions.
Dr. Ezigwe, go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir.
You see, what we are trying to do is not...
Sir, sorry for interruption, sir.
No. What we are doing is for collective interests.
Yes.
Soldier come, soldier go, the barracks remain. Politicians will always go and come and go. And the people will still continue to live together. So when we are talking, we are not being sentimental or after. But we want to correct certain, with that sentiment. I am not a lover of Obiano. In fact, I have problem with him because the first time Buhari won, even while Jonathan was there, he was the first governor that visited him. And I criticized him on newspaper, on Vanguard. And he never liked me. So I've never been in his support. I never even support, I never supported the way he came up, even as a governor during the primaries, which is what we have. So, but we have to be objective. I made a statement earlier, you call it a jargon, civil insecurity and political insecurity. And we know that in civil security, like armed robbery, other things, they go in for the materials, for the people materials, and their police can deal with, vigilantes can deal with, town unions could deal with it. But you are looking at a security where even the perpetrators are not going for the banks, they are not going for the people, they are not going for the markets, they are going after a specific government institution. And they become difficult. Yes, and it becomes difficult to contain among the people when people see such people as their own protectors. When the people even hail those people when they're operating. So the idea of building up a network of security, it could only be an oppressive to the people. It will only be seen as an oppressive security. Because if it is a question of armed robbery, kidnapping of people, and so on and so forth, then the people could be, the people will be able to gather information, the kind of information you are talking about, and then feed the security men. But where the people even see the security men, the army, the police as their own oppressors, of which this you call them criminals, the so-called criminals are going after. There's no way the people can release information, because releasing information will tantamount to sabotage. That is why it needs a political solution not technical solution by bringing soldiers, by bringing this. What is that political solution? What actually is the objective of those unknown gunmen for killing policemen? Tell us. That's the question I want to ask you. What is their fundamental reason for going after security officers or officials, not going after the people? Because it is only when you know the root of something that you can solve it. That's the question I want you to answer. What are they?
So now listen to me. Let me attempt to satisfy you. Nobody, IPOB, no IPOB, Boko Haram, no Boko Haram, nobody has the right to lay a finger, not to talk of shoot, any official security person. Nobody has that right. It is wrong when you take on the security of the state, when you challenge the police or DSS or army on gun battles, you are attempting an insurrection. Nobody approves of it. I tell you something. When Umuleri, Aguleri, Umobanan war ended, the SY, to be able to deal with that challenge, we brought in our own security people, the state. We wrote to the police. The then Inspector General of Police gave us 9 units of mobile. And because I wanted to camouflage that operation, I based them in outskirts of Asaba and in Warri. I brought them in on the night of deployment. So together with government and myself personally led the government security people into Nei, if you understand that place. And we overcame the challenges together with government. The army, the police can work with the civil authorities to restore normalcy in Southeast. It helps improve the civilian-army relationship in theaters of operation. That can be done. But the state must get these people involved in a dialogue. There must be a discussion on how to go about it. You must show seriousness for the army, the police to also trust you in that operation, to agree on such joint operation with you. Don't forget, you have to get permission from the highest level, which might not come from the military commanders or the police commanders on ground. These are functions, these are things the state government should do to improve the deployment of security forces in areas where they want to operate. We also had Mr. Tim talk about those who know where these people are or who say they know or have seen. I said, we need to interact with the locals, with the community, to be able to find out what is happening. And you can do that dialogue. You can do that dialogue. There are probably not more than 5 local governments or 6 local governments where we are having challenges in security in Anambra State. And you can isolate them and deal with them without even causing disruption on the civil life of the citizens of Anambra State. So, sir, I hope this attempts to answer your question. There should be no high-handedness in deploying army to go and kill civilians. Nobody calls for that. These children are our children. The children are our children. There must be a carrot and stick approach. Let me tell you, we cannot continue to kill your youths because we want to resolve a security issue. We should dialogue with them. those who are willing to turn a leaf, you should help give them a second chance in life. As security advisor, I had a little interaction with some known armed robbers. I helped to resettle them. I counseled them. I sent people to church. I wedded one from my town. I took him secretly to a priest. He had married his wife with 4 children. He wasn't married. There was no marriage anywhere. He didn't pay the dowry. I went and helped him pay the dowry and got him baptized in the church. Today, he is doing his business at Nkogbe Market. Nobody remembers he's a criminal. I've done somebody like that in Oka. I resettled him. He's living in Enugu happily. He has left crime. You must not always care because they deploy you in a theater of oppression. The children you kill could be your children tomorrow. It could be the turn of your children tomorrow. All these children are Nigerian youths. We must have respect for the sanctity of life. And troops cannot go on a killing spree in Igbo land. We will not tolerate that. We will not tolerate that. We also encourage our IPOB boys to embrace dialogue. We are not going to, it's not talking about war. We just come out from war. We are still recovering. We lost everything. Anything we are talking should be by dialogue. Dialogue. We have not exhausted the avenue for dialogue. There is no condition to fight. Listen, I'm a reluctant warrior, but that doesn't make you my coward. I can stand my ground. I can stand my ground by force of argument. I can stand my ground by logic. I can stand my ground with the little intellect God has given me and help in resolving matters. Thank you, sir.
No, yes, no problem. The issue is that, thank God, you are coming back to what I expected you and other politicians in Anambra to address. It's not by technical solution. It's by reaching out, finding out why are you and why are you killing. You thought because yes,
you are talking
dialogue. I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy you are going to
address this issue. You are talking about politicians. Please stop blaming politicians. There can only be one state governor. You don't know if the governor takes my call or takes the call of Andy Uba or takes the call of Valentine Ozigbo. You don't know if he takes their call. This governor is not even talking to his deputy governor. There is break in communication. And we said that this man should improve his human relations. He does not go to baptism. He does not go to funeral. He lives most of his life abroad. There is a lot going wrong in Anambra State, which we pray the next governor must not do that. It is not the responsibility of the governor to govern his state. He should not. Clubs no longer operate now. Clubs no longer operate. I had a meeting in Oka last week, and I left Oka 11:15 to go to Yale. When I got to Yale, everybody said I'm a madman. But these are things we took for granted before. But I tell you, I put my feet on the street of Anambra whenever I want. I'm not going to live in the Stone Age because I'm fearing the unknown gunmen. Who are these unknown gunmen? Are they spirits? You can find out if you have appropriate security and intelligence deployments. And we have not made sufficient investments. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Ulomba, can continue.
Thanks, Dr. T.
Thank you, Chairman, Honorable.
Bless you. Bless you. And where?
You.
Sorry, Elder Tango,
Unmute
please.
yourself.
Okay, I know, Chief Elumba, I don't want to get it hot with Honorable Showman. I know him. I know him very well. He too have contributed a lot. He have tried by his time. But I want to put him through today that what is happening today, that his old system will not work as of today. Because the time he performed, he was fighting a common criminal. Today, people are more sophisticated with his sponsor all over the world, with many interests all over the world. Now, I was about to ask you, how can you cope with this present situation? Because if you follow all Honorable was saying, he's showing up his party, his new party interests, his new love with Andoba, because I know his whole history with Andoba, which you have said that devil can be a saint. I didn't call anybody a devil. But the problem we have in Africa is that we dodge history. History is a taboo in Africa. And without that history, we can't keep record. We can't know, because if you have history, we will have record. So what I'm saying now is that Obiano will take out of this present blame. I'm not an opoga, I'm not anything. But the situation now, nobody can manage it. Nobody can manage it yet. What is happening now is above any governor. If somebody becomes a governor today, but what I want you to say now, what will benefit Igbo nation, Igbo rest, if APC win? Because APC have been in power for many years. No Igbo man in security service, no opportunity for Igbo man. All the loan Nigeria took was building Niger, away from here to Niger. So will APC be a change government, a change party? Finish?
Sir, first of all, sir, I will not subscribe to a defeatist idea that no governor can manage the security we have in Southeast now. I don't think so, sir.
I was a security personnel. Sorry, sir.
Sir?
I work in a security corridor. Yeah?
Hold
I know
on,
what
sir.
I'm telling you.
Hold on, sir.
Okay, sir.
Hold on, sir. The approach matters. The approach. We are not calling to go back to Mbadiniju or Bakasiara. No, these are going back to Egypt. The present situation calls for a synergy between the security, between government, and between the community, so we can overcome the challenges. That is the hallmark of what I have said today.
Sorry, sir. The community you are calling, the Igwes are being killed, the town heads are being killed, everybody is on the run, the towns are destroyed, and the type of weapon on ground is more sophisticated.
Sir, we are not going to run away from our town because some criminals entered. We must find a solution, me and you and our government.
Sir, calling these people criminal is a mistake too on your side. These people are not criminal.
So what do you say?
They are people with intention. They have motive. This is not a criminal. Needs something to survive, something to steal and go. These people are not criminals, sir. Just like Buhari calling a terrorist bandit.
Can we?
Even if you have simply motives and you kill one single soul, you will be tried for murder if you are caught. It's a criminal act if you are caught. In terms of agitations going on, that's where I said the state can come in and deal with some salient issues involving agitation. For example, if I'm a governor of the 5 governors, I will encourage others. Let us go and meet the president secretly and plead for the creation of the 6th state in Southeast. It amounts to a lot of marginalization. When we are being denied the revenue accruing to one state or accruable to one state for how many years now. It is a lot of money. Together with the component local governments to be created with that new state. The federal government doing that can go a long way, in assuaging the feelings of the people of the Southeast. Just as the heightened construction of the second Niger Bridge gave a milestone to the present government. There are things you can do to improve the relationship between the Southeast and the federal government. Number two, sir, we are all desiring of a Nigerian president of Igbo extraction. You cannot continue to fight everybody. This is not the time to fight, it is time to dialogue. We need to make the rest of Nigeria trust us with power. We need to have the rest of Nigeria have a buy-in on the issue of the president of Igbo extraction. We need to convince all the parties to help zone the presidency to the Southeast, so we have less effort capturing this presidency, because we have inferiority of numbers. While other states have XY number of states, because there are 6 states or 7 states, Southeast has only 5. We have only 15 senators, while others have 18 senators. We have 42 members of House of Representatives, while the Northwest has 93. The Northeast has 122. South has 122. Southeast, we have 42 members. Creating additional state in Southeast could give us additional 10 or 15 members of House of Representatives. It will give us 3 additional senators. It will give us more revenues. Here, our local government, where I come from, collects about 200 million in revenue every month. Creating a new local government can give a new state, can give us 20 new local governments. Check 20 times 200 million every month is a huge revenue loss to the Southeast. I'm only calling for a dialogue between the Igbos and the rest of Nigeria, between Southeast and the rest of the regions. That's what I'm calling for. And the appropriate way to do it is not by fighting everybody. It's not by killing soldiers. It's not by killing police. And Mr. Police and Mr. Army, please, you should not kill our people. If you kill our people, we won't be happy. We will take you on. We will take you on. Did you not see the destruction in Izombe last week? Are you happy with it? We go and labor and suffer to make money. We bring it to build us. You come and burn it. We don't want such. We don't want what happened in Odi to happen to any community in Igbo land. It's a possibility. And you can only ensure this through dialogue, not by being pugnacious. What are you fighting? You can't fight Nigerian army. You can't fight them. Listen, if you go and kill 5 soldiers, we probably have 300, 400,000 Nigerian soldiers. They have not made any dent. And why should you take a precious life? Those 6 soldiers are fathers, brothers, uncles, breadwinners. Let us reduce the tempo. Even the way we talk in the Southeast, we need to reduce our bragging. Go to Lagos State. On any election day, it is only people that play football on the street, they won't go and vote.
All right, I think Dr. Hajan is another, please.
Okay. Thank you, Barrister Lombard, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, sir. Nice to see you on this program. Sorry, I came in a bit late. So my concern, like your question I want to ask now, I wouldn't know whether any of the participants has asked you that question before. I could see that most of the discussions here are around security, and really for the upcoming election in Anambra State, security is a very big issue. So I don't know, as a stakeholder in Anambra State and now Deputy DG for APC gubernatorial candidate, and the APC has a very big party in Anambra State. How do you think that the popular balance now within our state, that there will be no election in Biafra land? How do you think the government or people should be encouraged to come out and vote? I mean, dealing with voters' apathy, which we know was a challenge before, and with the present situation, how do you think voters could be encouraged to come out and vote despite the, maybe likely propaganda or the present situation that some people are saying that the election in Anambra State?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. It's very, very important, sir. Sir, during the last election, I'm sure you had such threats there will be no election in Southeast. I'm sure you had it, sir. During the last presidential, last general election.
Yes.
Good. Sir, I also want to draw your attention that about 1 week to that election, that talk disappeared. There was no more further threats. Do you agree with me, sir?
Yes, to a very large extent.
Good.
Okay.
Those discussions were facilitated by some people who tried to sit down and convince those who were making that threats that we are better off with the election than boycotting it. Why is that diplomacy absent this time around, sir? Why are there no consultations being made or efforts being made to feature out to those who made those secret talks possible? And that agitation died. And we had successful election everywhere, sir. This is some of the things you will talk. I'll give you another example. When I was security advisor, sir, MASOP insisted there will be no election, no census. No census. And they were disturbing in 17 out of 21 local governments. Through our efforts from security side, we were able to bring down that agitation. The only 2 local governments who suffered low registration was Omaru and Newi South, which has been made up with subsequent registration. Somebody made it possible then. Why is there no such effort to engage those people this time around also? So you see, this is issue of governance. These are issues of governance. Somebody has to take responsibility, reach out to people, and let this dialogue take place. And we have peace all over. And we conduct our elections, sir.
Okay,
are you with me, Mr. Hyginus?
Yes, sir. But on one or two occasions, over the news, we overheard the governor saying that people that are, fueling this insecurity threats in Anambra State are actually coming from outside. So, and the governor is the #1 security officer in the state. Do you support that his position? If no, then what should be the main cause of security threat in Anambra State, and how, from the body language and the efforts of the governor so far on the security, what do you think he would have done better to stem the tide of the insecurity in the state? And let me tell you, with what is going on now, I'm trying to see how we can compare it with the time of Marshall and even the last general election, where some group of people were bringing a threat that there will be no election. I wouldn't know what went on there, but with this present dispensation that we are seeing, I think it may be very difficult if drastic measures are not taken.
So with God, everything is possible.
Except,
don't bother with God.
With God, but except if
I don't live in the world of impossibilities. I live in the world of possibilities.
Okay, sir. So what do you think the governor would have done better, at least for us to see that at least there will be a light at the end of this tunnel?
Very, very briefly, as you said, you came late. We have dealt with this issue. I said there should be increased dialogue between the government, the security agencies, and the communities, so we can deal with all these threats and quickly restore normalcy. We dealt with them exhaustively. We are not saying it's going to be an easy task. We are encouraging the government, not really governor, the government, to engage more with the police. We are not saying you are not engaging. Engage more with the community. We are not saying you are not engaging, so that we can quickly reach some levels of conclusions on all these security challenges and have a peaceful conduct of the election. That's what we've been able to do on this platform over the last 1 hour. And I believe it can be done. There is no situation that cannot be improved on. I tell you, I was in the East on Monday being a lockdown. Not one fly was flying past my area on the road. I felt bad about it. Very good estimates say the Southeast loses about 500 billion in sales every Monday we lock down. And we are putting at the risk the lives and means of livelihood of 6 million Igbo traders living all over the country. It is not good for them. And we have to quickly bring an end to this heightened state of insecurity and restore normality in our lands.
Okay, thank you. That's still on that. I think that's all from my side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Hajj.
Well, thank you, Honorable Nzeribe, for spending such a... Okay, we have one last question. Wilson, please. Wilson Thomas.
I thought you will let me go quickly.
I was about to until Wilson interjected. Wilson, quickly.
Okay, yes, good evening, Honorable Nzeribe.
Mr. Thomas, good evening, sir.
Yeah, this I must commend you for your in-depth knowledge of politics and security situation in Anambra State, and it has taken most of our time. And
yes,
I want to give you the opportunity to tell us things we don't know about the candidate you're supporting. You know, the candidate of the APC, that will encourage us to go out there and convince more people to vote for him. Thank you.
Okay, obviously, very, very quickly, sir. Andy is an experienced politician. You don't use caterpillar to learn how to drive. Andy is a seasoned politician. He has served at the highest level of government. Andy will help us also resolve the security challenges because he has handled various difficult national security assignments. When I was also a security advisor, he helped us resolve the Masop threat of no census. Without the census, sir, you wouldn't be getting the improved revenues southeastern states are getting today. We brought that to a standstill. We had such challenges in 17 local governments. We brought down the areas of impact to only 2, Obaru and Newi South. Go and check the figures. I must tell you, over 1 million people live in Okpoko. They wake up and come. If you see the number of people that come and wake up every morning from Okpoko, but we didn't register up to 60,000 in Okpoko because of massive challenges. And that affects revenue sharing. The population affects revenue sharing. And he helped us to resolve some of that. Andy has also had experience. He has tried to be this governor. He's tried his best. It wasn't time. I believe now God is with him. And he is a much changed person. He's becoming more prayerful. He's no more taking things by his strength. He's allowing the face of God to help him overcome these challenges. He will make a good governor. And he has a program on what we call micro programs. He's quite adult. If you see the legislations he had been involved in when he was in the National Assembly, and he can help us attract huge funding for SMEs. Huge, and when I mean it huge funding. Listen, Anambra, we don't enjoy ANCOS borrowers program. Other states collect, Castina, last time collected 60 billion. Collected 60 billion. We collect nothing. And it will help us open up these avenues. You know how much this will do in the lives of farmers in Anambra State. Let us talk less of oil. Let's talk less of oil. Even the oil we talk about, Anambra State has unproducing wells. I wonder how a state governor makes noise about Anambra being oil producing, something we have dealt with in the past. He's talking about 15 wells. They don't produce anything. Orient Petroleum. I helped set up Orient Petroleum. I have paid the first monies to get approval for OPL 915 and 916 to be allocated to Anambra State government. And it will help us bring the vision of having a modular refinery and a gas plant to generate electricity in Anambra State. Besides, Andy is a good listener. We don't need people who do too much bragging again. Let somebody who listens humbly. We need a change. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Zeribe, for spending up. It's almost 2 hours now. It's been a very engaging experience. We've been discussing Anambra State, security challenges in the Southeast, political defections, and the forthcoming November 6th governorship election. And we've been able to handle a lot of questions, and now we are exhausted. So thank you for coming here tonight, sir.
Thank you, sir.